Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you happen to be in. Welcome to Leaders Worldwide Online Toastmasters Club, Presidents Distinguished. Please, if you are a guest, put a G in front of your name, or if you have a role today, put the role title in your name.
Guy has a hood on.
Okay.
The new speaker, he is wearing a freaking hood.
Victor, you are live. Club mission. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Our core values: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our president, DTM, Tala bin Hamid.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Sergeant Pounds, for that absolutely fantastic and energetic introduction. So today we meet again, and the theme of the meeting is persistence. We persist in all our efforts. We are told to persist through thick and thin. But have we ever thought, to what end? In my part of the world, at least, there's this obsession with becoming someone big, succeeding at all costs, staying at the top of the class, leaving your colleagues behind. And the entire emphasis is on that in order to succeed, you have to leave others behind. You have to step on top of others in order to climb. And you know what? In every business school in the world, the business icons that we are taught about, if you look at their personal lives, you'll be beyond disgusted. Test any one of them. And then we complain that why has the world come to this? Because the generation that's studying in business schools around the world and mentorship program and coaching programs is following in the footsteps of these real life jerks who have been aspirational leaders. Why are we complaining? It is us who told them to blindly follow these people. I believe we should not follow leaders. I believe we should follow values. With that, it is my pleasure to declare this meeting open, the 73rd meeting of Leaders Worldwide. And we have a galaxy of guests today. I would like our guest Yusuf to introduce himself. He just did, but as official part of the meeting.
Okay. My name is Yusuf, and I am 24 years old. I am student. I am from Mauritania in Africa, and our country is next to Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. So I am I have been learning English now 2 years, and I am in the same group with Santia. So she sent the link in WhatsApp. So this is why you can, I guess you can see me here in the room. Yeah, I'm just here to learn and to listen because I'm learning English.
Wow, that is amazing. It is amazing to have you. And I love your part of the world, and I aspire to visit there someday. Next, we have a guest, and if he is who I think he is, he hardly needs any introduction, but meeting protocols require. Mr. John Law, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you, Mr. President. The time now is 2:06 in Malaysia in the morning.
Wow, wow.
I especially wake up to attend your meeting because Cindy Scott has invited me to join your club meeting on August the 1st. I have been a Toastmaster for 32 years now. And I believe that learning is a lifelong journey. So when I was very active in Toastmasters, I used to do my manual speech, one speech every week. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to have you. Next, we have our guest. I've seen him somewhere before, Sachweb. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, and honorable guests. My name is Sachweb, and I'm the member of Quantum Leap Toastmaster Club, and I'm the president of SAY Global Toastmaster Club, and I'm the Area 10 director in District 122, and it's an honor to be here. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Saad is the reason you're listening to me today. He was the one who connected me to DTM Cynthia in the first place for the first keynote that I did. What's more, he joined Toastmasters hardly 2.5 years ago. He's already achieved DTM and already participated in formation of 2 clubs. I believe we are through with guests we have, and that means that I get to introduce the Toastmaster of the day, who is an eloquent speaker and never fails to impress us whenever she speaks. So everyone, please put your hands together for Toastmaster Teresa Cherry.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction and your comments and opinions on persistence. I have a different take on some of that, but maybe we'll just continue with the meeting, because now I get to introduce our esteemed general evaluator for the day. Also, Mr. President, Tala Ben Hamid. Back to you, Tala.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yes, as general evaluator, it will be my job to keep an eye on this meeting and of course, note what went well and what could be improved. I'll be holding the journal evaluation session at the end of the education session and the table topic session. But before that, it is my job to introduce today's grammarian and wordmaster, Sally Elizabeth Reyes. So please introduce yourself, the role, and the word of the day.
Thank you so much. I am Sally Elizabeth Reyes, and it is my job to listen very carefully to your speeches and comments and look for M's and A's and O's and buts. And those are the things we want to get rid of that give more meaning to the concept of what you are trying to deliver to us. So I found that things are improving so much. I also have time to listen for the most interesting comments, descriptive definitions that I've never heard before. I love to relish those creative exclamations that also come from your wonderful speeches. And our word for the day, our word is persistence, but our word of the day is focus, and to keep intent and results closely in mind to achieve our goals. So I think it's very adequate to go with persistence. So please use these words of the day and improve your acute memory. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sally Reyes. That was a beautiful introduction. Next, we move to our timer, Lynn Freley. Please introduce your role.
I will be serving as timer, and the length of the speech of our main speech is it 10 minutes? You can remind me, 10 to 12. So at 10, our speaker will get a green, and at 11, she gets a yellow, and at 12, she gets a red.
I think isn't it 8 to 10, if I'm correct?
Oh,
as
8
per
to
the-
10.
Yeah, 8 to 10.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So then 8, Linda gets a green, and at 9, she gets a yellow, and at 10, she gets a red. And then the other speeches will be 5 to 7 minutes, at which point we'll repeat the process. Green at 5, yellow at 6, red at 7, and then we just cut the microphone at 7.5. I'm kidding. And table topics be 1 to 2 minutes. So 1 gets a green, 1.5 gets yellow, and red is at 2. Thank you. Back to you, Master Toastmaster.
Thank you.
so much.
We're
Thank
going
you
to
so much.
challenge you again, Lynn, because today we also have a 4 to 6 minute speech. So
Okay, good. And who's the 4 to 6?
Rowan King.
Rowan, okay,
Icebreaker.
good.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll make a comment about is timer, which is not officially on the books as timer. Sometimes positions that are not timed the speaker can become lengthy. And I've been tempted to just kind of pop a color in the background just because the person's not being formally timed. And that's just that it's a cautionary tale from your timer so that everyone respects the meeting. And if we get out early, God bless America and the world. Back to
And
you,
can
Madam.
you raise your hand electronically again? So
Oh,
you
here we
come back
go.
to the front of the screen. Thank you.
I got bumped off the
And
machine once.
I know. We hope you
So
can
I-
stay on. And so the keynote is 8 to 10, and then
Correct.
we're going to have 8 to 10 minutes for the Q&A because she wanted longer Q&A.
Okay, and then if Q&A is shorter than that, we'll just move with that.
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much,
Thank
Cynthia.
you.
Good.
Thank you very much. And once again, will you remind us about the timing for our keynote presenter today, which will be 8 to 10 minutes.
Yes, to 8. So at 8 minutes, we're going to see a green. I'm practicing here. At 8 minutes, we see green. At 9 minutes, we see yellow. And at 10 minutes, we see red. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker of the day, Linda Patten. Linda is a leadership trainer and mentor. She joined Toastmasters in December of 2019. Since then, she has skyrocketed into speaking and leadership. She has completed the Triple Crown 3 times. Linda was awarded the OATM also 3 times and was awarded her DTM in July 2021. Bit of an overachiever, I should say. She was district finance officer in 2021, was a select distinguished area director for District 30, and is now secretary in Heart to Heart, treasurer in Leaders Worldwide, and district administrative manager. She lives in Gahanna, I hope I got that right, Ohio, USA. And her speech is entitled, "Who am I and what can I possibly know about leadership?" Linda Patten. Linda Patten, who am I and what could I possibly know about leadership?
Who am I? You heard Teresa give my introduction. It includes all the accolades that I've got, although there were several missing, like I was Toastmaster of the Year for District 57 and a few other things. I tend to either go full out or not anywhere. It sort of depends on how comfortable I feel and what's out there And if I have someone like Cynthia who just kind of taps me on the shoulder and says, how about this? Could you do that? How about this? Let's move on to this. And always moving me into new leadership roles. But that's not who I was many years ago. You all have heard my story of my grandmother who sits on this shoulder, but Nyla, she kicks her off every now and then so that I don't have to listen to her. She told me when I was 5 years old that I should never stand up in front of groups of people and talk because I just wasn't very good at it. And I carried that voice with me through high school, through college, and through the beginning of the military. It really wasn't until I had my post commander say to me, I want you and my recruiting team, you will lead them to success. I know you'll be a great model for the women. What can you say? He was a colonel. He thought he knew best. And indeed, I did recruit twice as many young lads as the rest of my team. And you have to realize that this was in the end of Vietnam when it was not at all fashionable to be in the military. So that was one time when she got knocked on her keister. And I thought, this is the end. She's never going to come back. Well, that wasn't true. Every time I do something new, she pops up, at least for a little bit of time, to just shake my foundation and let me know that I am only human. If she'd been in the Roman days, she would have stood behind me on my chariot going, remember, you're only human. Remember, you're only human. And I loved her, but she did me no great favors by saying those things to me. In the military, besides being the recruitment officer for my post commander, I also began looking at, if I was going back to Fort McClellan, which was the home of the Women's Army Corps, what kind of leader did I want to be there? Did I want to be just on the education staff, or did I want to have a command post? I chose command. And there were literally 4 of us in command of this particular unit. And by a month after that, we were down to 2. The company commander and the executive officer. I was the executive officer. I had 6 platoons I was responsible for. So I began to gain my leadership voice. Where it really came to bear was when post commander decided that I would be the parade adjutant. That meant I got to stand on a field with 2,400 women across it. And my voice had to carry to them all so that they all moved as one. And I was able to do that and be heard. So it was attention, parade, rest, and such. It was great watching these 2,400 women follow my voice. Now, again, you would have thought that that would have knocked her off, right? Not so much. I went from there to become a protocol officer for a 4-star general. What fun I had there. Now, you would think as a lowly first lieutenant that I didn't have much sway with a 3-star general, but I did. I found out that he always chose chef salad for lunch. Boring. So I said to my colonel, could we try something else? He said, nice try, Lieutenant, but he won't choose anything but chef salad. I said, well, I'd like to try. Let's see what I can do. With that, I went down to the chef and I said, hey, could we put together like 3 menus that are less expensive than chef salad, but aren't chef salad? Ooh, yeah, I'd love to do that. Let's see what we can make happen. From that, he gave me 3 really great meals. I took the proposal for the general's next group of visitors, and I watched him, and he went down the right-hand side of the paper where all the money was. He never looked to the left. He never looked at what the options were. He picked the first one, which was the cheapest, and handed it back to me. And I almost giggled. That wouldn't have been very professional in front of a gentleman. But it's how I felt. I went down and I showed it to my colonel. I said, look at this. He said he won't like it. He won't like it. I can guarantee you he won't like it. So when we actually had that lunch, started with a salad in front of his plate, and he's going, I said, it's a salad, sir, in case you didn't know. And then that was whisked away and his entree came and he was even more perplexed. How did I get this? I said, sir, you chose it. We'll discuss this later. So I was called into his office when he got back from visiting with his visitors and I got back from taking them to the next place they needed to be. He said, Lieutenant Frank, what was that? I said, sir, it's the lunch you ordered. He goes, I always order chef salad. I guess I said to him, no, sir, you don't order chef salad. You order the cheapest thing on the menu. And you do it because you don't want to burden the other officers in the headquarters with having to go to lunch with you every day and pay $40 or $50 per meal. Yes, you know, you're right. He said, are there any more like that? I said, I have 3. He said, could you make it 5? I said, well, I talked to the chef and see what happened. We got 5. It was awesome. Well, I walked out of the general's office and his deputy commander came out of his office. And he said, Lieutenant, I need to speak to you. Sir, how can I help you? What was that? I said, sir, it was lunch. He didn't choose it. I go, yes, sir, he did. He goes, could I have them? Would it be possible for me to kind of mix them into my rotation? I said, absolutely, sir. They're free for everyone. And please, we will put them on your menu from now on. Leading, but not from a powerful position, but from a position of knowledge, a position of awareness, a position of wanting to be creative and collaborative. That's what I learned from working with General Depew. From there, I went into training. And as a trainer, again, you have the knowledge and you're the one standing up in front of the room and imparting that knowledge, be it leadership, project management, sales training, whatever it is, you have the control of the room just by the sound of your own voice. And I was actually very good at it. For whatever reason, I took to training like Liz takes to being an actress. She just did it. She didn't even think about necessarily what her role was. She was a consummate actress. And I love that about the people in the entertainment industry. Now I get a chance to lead, or at least persuade, people in the Toastmasters world. I know that there is a better way to lead than what we were taught in school or taught in industry. It's not just command. It's not just telling people what to do. It's not just asking and influencing them. It's a combination of the two called confluential. Now, that brings me to horses. What do horses have to do with all of this? As you know, every young girl loves horses. If she could bring one home and put him in her bedroom, she would. And I was just that. And I happened to be pretty good. Again, I was, not the best, but my horses understood me and they would nudge. They would give me direction as to where to go, what to do. They would try little tricks like trying to brush me off against a tree. And the fact that I didn't caused them to trust me to do what needed to be done. I was persistent and I had strong focus as to where I wanted the horse to go. It really was telling. When I was in the Girl Scouts, I was in a drill team and my horse was trained Western. He didn't know anything about directional reining. He wanted me to do this. Well, you can't do that and still be in coordination with the rest of the people on your team. So I had to figure out a way to make it look like I was pulling when I was actually reining. We still won first place. That's focus, both on the horse as well as for myself. The cool thing about horses is you can actually use them for leadership training. I had a stable that I used on a fairly regular basis and taught adults how to work with horses. The fact is, when they trust you and you trust them, they will follow you anywhere. They'll test you, they'll try to brush you off, they'll try to get you off, but they're only looking to see how persistent you are as a leader. So if you really want to step into your leadership, go stand by a 2-ton horse. See what you can make happen there. Madam Toastmaster. You're muted.
You're muted, Toastmaster Teresa.
Oh my, yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's, never mind. That's what my question is all about. We can now go into a Q&A session. You'd think by now I'd be used to Zoom and that particular function. And that will be led by our esteemed president, Tala bin Hamid.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yes, dear audience, don't lose this opportunity to ask questions. We have a 10-minute Q&A. And yeah, the first question is from our Toastmaster of the day. Can you speak to leading by example?
Yes, I can. And again, if we go back to horses, in essence, you are leading by example. You're showing them where you want to go, what you want to have happen, just by your leg movements, your hands, your voice, and they will give pushback, as will a human. You know, if you know, do you really seriously, do you really want to go there? And again, if you're persistent and you're consistent in your movements and what you have happen, they will definitely follow. When I trained trainers, I always did a demo for them of the class before I ever asked them to learn the class, much less teach it. And then I also committed to them that I would visit the first time they taught a class, and then I would visit at least once a month in any classroom that they chose to see how they progressed, what had happened, you know, that kind of thing. And my trainer said to me, bar none, that was the most valuable leadership example that you could have given us, was being there for us and showing the way. I think it was John Maxwell who said, leaders go the way, show the way, and lead the way. And I think that's very, very true. You have to be the person out front. One of my favorite generals, and we'll get to the next question, tell in a second. One of my favorite generals was MacArthur, who never was at the back of his troops. He was always in the front and always showing them where to go. We're going there. And I think that made him one of the more powerful generals on the battlefield.
Thank you so much. And yes, what an amazing example. The second is more of a comment. I don't know how you feel about that. You remind me of Queen Elizabeth when you speak. So that is from our guest, Yusuf. So that was a comment.
Thank
the
you.
third is, how do you know the person has given you the permission to lead them? Interesting.
Generally, what I find is that if a group of people does not have a designated leader, that someone will rise to the top and the team will ask them, where should we go? What should we do? How are we going to make this happen? It oftentimes is a team asking questions that says to me, they don't have a designated leader. They don't have somebody that they perceive as being a leader. And so those questions are things that will generally pop the leader to the top, because they will be setting the stage for everyone else in the room. I don't necessarily believe that a leader always has to have positional power, that they have to be, you know, the general, or they don't have to be the Queen of England or whatever, that they can be someone in the team who's respected and whose comments are always listened to. I don't say with reverence, but with, yeah, that's what we want to do, that kind of thing. So oftentimes they're clarifying for the rest of the team of where they want to go, what they want to do, and how they want to make it happen.
Thank you so much. How do you know where to go? How do you know where to lead? Wow, that's amazing.
Wow, that's really esoteric. Generally, and it's one of the things that I teach in my Awaken the Leader program, is vision. As a leader, having a personal vision as well as a vision for where you want your team, your company, whatever it is, going, you have to start it. You have to know where you want to go. Otherwise, it's very difficult to lead them. And then having a conversation around, this is where we're going. Your thought, I always ask your thoughts on that. What do you, where do you want to go? Does it align with where we want to go as a team? I work with teams a lot, and I always set a vision as one of the first things we do, even in a classroom. I want to know where those students want to go, because it's really ugly if they want to go in that direction and the program we're doing is this way. So we need to align those visions. And I do say that everyone in the group will have a separate take on where we're going. And I want all of those in alignment. I have a wonderful picture that used to be on my screensaver of a lion pride. They're obviously in captivity because there's snow on the ground and there's a chain link fence around them. But the coolest thing is one of the males is just slightly ahead. Slightly behind him is one of the females, and then the rest of the pride is behind them. They are all looking in one direction. And I feel sorry for the photographer because I think they're looking at him. And they were focused on him specifically. It's a phenomenally powerful piece because it says all of those lions had the same vision, the same goal, and the same place they wanted to go.
Lunch.
Yes.
Oh my God. So it turns out having focused vision may not turn out to be so good for some of us, especially the ones at the receiving end, right?
Yes.
So
true.
the next question is, and this is very interesting, since the term leadership may have a charge to it, what other euphemisms could be used that mean leadership?
Oh, guidance, vision, movement, mission, goals, training. Oftentimes your vision is around, how am I going to teach these people what they need to do in order to be safe, to be able to, let's say, go bouldering. That is a sport, by the way, or kayaking or whatever it might be. What is their vision? What is their goal? What do they want to accomplish? Where do they want to go? Who do they want to go there with? So all the pieces, parts of a project plan have the vision incorporated in it.
Yes, trainer, coach, very, very interesting.
Mentor.
And very interesting question. The next one from Victor is, do leaders themselves need a leader, and how does a leader choose theirs?
Only Victor would ask a question like that. Yes, I honestly think that we're never alone. That even if you're leading, a team of individuals, let's say it's a Toastmasters club, there are people who are in the next level, or people who are on the same level with you that you can mentor with, that you can bounce ideas off of. I think that's also critical, is knowing that there's someone else that I can call and can say, yeah, I think if we want to do this, what do you think? What are the pitfalls in this? What are the positive things that we can get out of doing it this way? I think that that's very important, to have that person that you can bounce ideas off of. I use my husband very much on that, as far as, what do you think if we did this? And he, being a lawyer, always has a question to ask me back, because that's how lawyers learn. It's the Socratic method of learning. Well, what do you think? But it gets me a chance to hear it, to hear what I'm thinking, and does it make any sense for anybody else but just me?
Thank you so much. Time to slip in a quick last one.
Okay.
From Teresa. How do you choose when to use authority versus persuasion versus example when you are the designated leader or in a recognized leadership role?
Yeah, the story I tell is me in on a jury, and my ultimate goal, my ultimate vision was getting on a boat on Saturday and going to Mexico. So I had to be out. We had to have a verdict by Friday morning, and we got it. We got the case on Thursday afternoon. So I sort of let the afternoon run, and I could see we weren't going to get anywhere. So Friday morning, I asked the bailiff for, I'm going to go overtime, for 5 flip chart papers, and I put the charges up on the flip chart paper. This is all command. It's the organization, it's the structure, it's the strategy. And then I turned it over to the jury to use influence by telling what they thought, how they thought about the evidence that we had, where it was going, and this kind of thing. And we had a very rich discussion. One thing I did not do, I never pushed for a particular verdict. I didn't push for specific information. They gave me that, and they all felt totally heard, because I never interrupted with, but what about this? I let them come up with the answer. We convicted him on all 5 counts in less than an hour.
Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of this session on the dot as per timing. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much. And now we have a chance to kind of think about the wisdom that Linda has shared with us and the great stories she has told. And maybe even think about going out for a ride on a horse. 5 minutes, everybody. Meeting runs 2 hours. You do need something.
Yeah, it's very civilized. I think we're back.
We are back. Hello, everyone, and let me redo this. Now you can go into the additional speakers for today. Lynn, would you like to remind us about the timing for a 5 to 7 minute speech?
I believe that Roland's having a 4 to 6 minute. Is that correct?
Yes, he is. He's the second speaker.
So our second speaker is 4 to 6, and the first was 5 to 7.
Yes, ma'am. I told you it was going to be a challenge.
Oh, I think I'm up for it.
I think you are.
I'll have to keep my focus on this. So our first speaker will be 5 to 7 minutes. At 5, the green light goes on. At 6, the yellow, and at 7, the red, and at 7.5, we hope it's completed. And at 4 minutes, the light will go on green. 5 will be yellow. 6 will be red, and 6.5 should be an empty stage. Back to you.
I think he's going to leave using that door in the back of his screen. I don't know. Today, our presenter will be Isaac Ford, and his evaluator will be Cynthia Stott. Cynthia, would you like to announce the speech path, etc.?
Absolutely. Let me get my focus here. I'm multitasking, sending out messages.
So what else is
Okay.
new?
So it's my honor and privilege to be the evaluator for Isaac Ford today. And let me pull up what pathway he's on. Pardon my video here. I was trying to come to a room where I could plug in my phone. Okay, his pathway is motivational strategies, level 2, project 2, understanding your communication style. And the purpose statements, the purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share the impact of his style on others. During the completion of this project, the member responded to a questionnaire to help identify his or her communication style. About the speech, the member will deliver a well-organized speech about some aspects of communication styles. The member may choose to speak about his own communication style or the impact of communication styles on him. The speech may be humorous, informational, and any style the member chooses. The speech should not be a report on the content of the understanding your communication style. Okay, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that insightful introduction. Isaac Ford is no stranger to maintaining good health and its benefits to his productivity and mental acuity. Today, he will talk to us about the benefits of walking. Benefits of walking. Isaac Ford, benefits of walking.
Thank you. I'd like to tell you about 3 benefits I've personally received as a walker. 1, it lowered my stress level. 2, it helped me lose weight. And 3, it keeps me healthy, happy, and youthful. When I was 25 years old, Mrs. Allen was my neighbor. And I didn't know her personally, but every day she would just be walking past my house. I'd see her everywhere I went, just walking. Now, Mrs. Allen was in her 50s, but she looked 30. She would remind you of Venus Williams, very athletic, energetic. So as a result of watching her, she inspired me to start walking. At the time, I was working at the Producers Writers Guild. The job was very stressful. I found it hard to get to work on time. But the good thing was, it was an hour's drive to work, so I would put on audiobooks and listen to them while I'm going to work. This one morning, they talked about the benefits of deep breathing and how it lowers your stress level. There's so many benefits. So I thought, I could do that. So I could not take a deep breath. It was like somebody was just standing on my chest. When I get to work, I decide on my lunch break, I'm not going to drive to Taco Bell. I'm going to walk. From that day forward, I would walk all over on my lunch break. Eventually, I started feeling better and breathing a lot better. And my job, it seemed more interesting. In fact, in the morning, I would get up an hour early to take a walk before I went to work. Before you knew it, I was on work on time all the time. One morning, we're at the breakfast table, and my wife announced, honey, I need to lose a little weight. Would you come with me to Weight Watchers as moral support? Thinking, well, you really could lose a little weight. I didn't say that. I thought that. Sure, honey, I'll go with you to Weight Watchers. So when you get to Weight Watchers, the first thing they do is they weigh you. So now, I had been married 5 years. When I got married on my wedding day, I weighed 150 pounds. My weight would fluctuate between 150 to 165 at the most. I step on the scale. £222. You tricked me. You don't need to lose weight. I'm the one who needs to lose the weight. Can't come in, Lord. Now, Weight Watchers has a 3-step program. The first thing they do is they get you to journal. You have to write down everything you eat, do, or how much you eat, because they feel like you need to have a record as to where you start so you can get to where you want to end up. The second thing is change your diet. And I got to open this door for my. Is change your diet and drink lots of water. And then the third thing is exercise. You have to exercise. Now, for me, I was a walker. I would walk for hours every day. So the exercise part was easy for me. But once I changed my diet, that weight melted off me like hot cocoa butter. I mean, it totally changed my attitude. Now, I know there are some people who can't walk, who don't, can't do a lot of exercise. So I heard about this exercise tool from the International Speech Contest winner, Don Johnson. And he spoke about this exercise tool that he found. And it kind of looked like a little block of wood. And what he said was, every morning he'd get up, he'd take that block, sit it in the middle of the floor, and just walk around it 2 times and get back into bed. So people would always come up to him and ask him, man, you are in such good shape. What is your secret? He would tell them, the first thing I do when I get up is I walk around the block twice. Now, whatever exercise you choose to do is fine. For me, walking is the best I've found. Because I walk for hours throughout my neighborhood. So as a result, people know me. I don't know them, but they wave and they want to talk sometimes. So now I had actually started taking this superfood called moringa. Now it comes in a powder or a tea, and it's very healthy for you. So I'm walking by this one neighbor and he's waving me over. And so he tells me, see that tree right there? And he just grabs a leaf off of the tree and starts eating it. He said, that's a moringa tea, a moringa tree. And anytime you want some moringa, just come over and snatch off a leaf. Now, I never knew that was a moringa tree. Now, as a result of walking as much as I do, I got pulled over by the police. The officer said, I want to thank you because you have made me lose 10 pounds. I see you walking everywhere. And as a result, it inspired me to start walking. Now, the spirit, walking spirit of Miss Allen lives on. I see my time is short, so I just want to leave you with 3 things. If you want to lose stress, start walking. If you want to lose weight or maintain your weight, start walking. And if you just want to feel healthy, happy, and youthful, start walking. Madam Toastmaster.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. What an inspiration. Yes, we should all be walking more, I am sure. Now let's just take a minute, and everybody, if you have any comments or observations, please direct message Isaac. And Lynn, can you remind us of, or give us a report on timing for Isaac?
Do you want me to time 1 minute right now for the evaluator?
Yes, please.
Good. And we'll do the timing report later, correct?
Yep, in about a minute.
Right. And that's our minute for the evaluator.
Thank you very much. Now, how about that timing report for Isaac?
I'm familiar with doing timing report with everyone at the end after for the major speech and for
Yes.
the
Okie dokie.
other speeches. I want to keep the suspense, you know, otherwise people might leave the meeting.
They wouldn't dare. We have Tala at the door. Anyway, our next speaker will be introduced by me, but first we'll hear about his path, project, purpose, and timing from Victor Irving Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This member has not yet been able to choose their pathway. However, the member is doing his icebreaker speech, which is similar no matter what the pathway is. The purpose of the project is for the member to introduce himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. He is completing his first speech in Toastmasters. And the goal of this evaluation is simply to give the member an effective evaluation concerning the delivery of the speech and the style of the speech. The speech is 4 to 6 minutes. Back to you, Madame Toastmaster.
Beautiful. Rowan King is brand new to leaders worldwide and to Toastmasters. Welcome, Rowan. How about a nice round of applause for our newest member? He is a college student at the University of California, Santa Barbara, studying statistics and data science. Wow, ambitious young man as well. Today, he is giving his first speech, an icebreaker in Toastmasters. It is entitled My Journey. Rowan King, My Journey. My Journey, Rowan King, the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Rowan King, and I'm from California, the United States of America. Today I'm going to be talking about my family, music, and school. So to start off with, my mom is from India, and the first time, or one of the times that I went, I was looking up at this majestic white building, and it was so bright that I could barely keep my eyes open. As I walked towards it, the small intricacies started to come into focus, and I didn't only see the beauty of the Taj Mahal, but I also saw the beauty of the Indian culture. Unfortunately, I'm not quite as connected with that side of myself as I wish I was. Growing up, I was a picky eater, so I didn't really enjoy all of the flavorful food, and I never ended up learning Hindi or Marathi, which are the two languages that my mom speaks. But I'm hoping that in the future, I'll become a little more in tune with that side of myself. I also have had the opportunity to visit my family in India quite a bit, or I guess 3 times now. But I've kind of learned that they're a very loving and tender community, and also they're very communal, so it's not so much an individualistic culture like the US. And they always show so much generosity when I end up visiting. Then there's my dad's side. He's from a small little town in Illinois called Lafayette, which only has about 250 people. So it's a pretty big difference from India, which is super populous. But I love visiting my grandparents and other relatives out there. And I have some really fond memories of just running around their backyard or playing card games like Phase 10. But I think all of this has shown me that family is something that's really important to me, and it's very fulfilling to be able to be connected with your relatives. The next thing that I want to talk about is music. So the first time that I picked up the violin was in 4th grade, and as soon as I put the bow on the strings, it just screeched. It was not a pleasant noise, but I decided to stick with it, and I ended up improving, and I played until about 8th grade. But as I went into high school, I decided that I was going to be too busy, so I ended up not continuing. But once quarantine hit, I had a lot of extra free time, so I decided to pick up the guitar. Again, it was hard in the beginning. My fingers hurt. I couldn't remember the chords, and even when I did, I couldn't easily transition between them. But I remembered back to my violin days, and I decided to just keep going. Soon enough, I found that I was able to actually play some songs in their entirety, and this was really exciting for me, and I could even play some of the songs that I like to listen to. But my love for music doesn't just stop at instruments. I enjoy listening to music as a pastime as well. Growing up, I used to listen to a lot of Queen and the Beatles, so music has always been something that I really love. But entering high school, I also started to listen to some rap and hip hop, and I found one of my favorite artists to this day, whose name is Mac Miller. And then I also went into college, and I started to listen to indie music with my friends. So I found that music is a great way to connect with other people, but also to just explore other cultures and eras. Then the last thing that I wanted to talk about was school. So I go to school at the University of California, Santa Barbara, which is in Southern California. And as soon as I walked onto the campus, I knew that that's where I wanted to go. It's an amazing climate, and it's just surrounded by the beach. So I thought it was the perfect place. And I can actually just walk right outside my doors in like a couple minutes, and I'm right on the beach. And so I'm able to just play spike ball or throw a frisbee with my friends whenever I want. But another passion that I found at UCSB is ultimate frisbee. When I was in high school, I played ultimate frisbee, but it was more recreational than competitive. So the opportunity to play on the competitive team Black Tide at UCSB has been really exciting for me. I've been able to compete against other schools, and just being a part of such a tight-knit community is something that I've never really been able to experience. Then something else that I've found at school has been my friend group. There's about 10 of us, and I think it's just really nice to have, again, a close-knit group of people. Growing up, I was an only child, so I never was really around people that were my age all the time. So kind of having my friends who I basically live with has been my substitute of like brothers or sisters in a sense. And one of my favorite memories that we did every day pretty much was we would go to dinner at exactly 6 o'clock. So now I tend to get hungry at around 6 o'clock, which I think is kind of funny. Then the last thing is that I've been able to explore a lot in terms of my major and classes. So I started out as a biology major, but I decided that I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to go work in a lab. I didn't want to be like a professor or anything. So I decided that I needed to switch. I thought about what I was good at, and since I'm pretty good at math, I thought that statistics and data science would be a good fit. And I'm excited because I feel like I have a little more direction for the future. But thank you for listening to me. And that was my speech on my family, music, and school. Back to you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing all that wonderful information. We're looking forward to hearing a lot more from you. Let's put a minute on the clock, Madam Timer, for everyone to make some comments on Rowan's presentation.
Got it. And that's our minute.
Thank you very much for that. And now we're going to move into table topics, where we get to practice extemporaneous speaking based on questions raised by our table topics master. First, we will hear from the timer, who will give us the timing rules for table topics.
The timing for table topics is a little bit tighter. At 1 minute, you qualify, because remember, these are all contest rules should you ever be in a contest for that. So at 1 minute, you qualify, you get a green. 1.5 minutes, you get a yellow. And at 2 minutes, you get a red. And we'd like you to wrap it up by 2.5.
Wonderful. And now I'd like to introduce our table topics master, who will present some insightful questions for all of us to think about and perhaps be called upon to answer. Marlon Perejo, are you ready? There you are.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am here and I am ready. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the meeting. Yes, here I am. So whilst I maneuver myself to my lunchroom in order to get a more private space to speak, I am Toastmaster Marlon Perejo. As you can, well, you probably may or may not have known, I am totally blind and absolutely awesome. Now, table topics is also extremely awesome. Table topics helps you to speak off the cuff and speak on the fly. Have you ever been in a situation where you're walking down the street and all of a sudden someone puts a mic to your face and a camera to your face and asks you a question, and then you're like, table topics helps with that. So maybe you'll be in an interview and you are asked a question way off of the field. You should be able to answer coherently, sequentially, and within 1 to 2 minutes, which is what we are going to do today. But before I begin, I like to ask the Madam Toastmaster, how much time do I have in this segment?
You will be asking 3 questions.
3. Okay, no
So,
problem.
yes,
I
yes, please. And feel free to call
Okay,
on
great. So-
anybody at all.
Oh yes, I intended to.
Okay.
Yes. Now, in my country, I live in Trinidad and Tobago. And in my country, we ask the question first and then call for the Toastmaster to answer after. This way, when I ask the question, everybody thinks. And then, even if you're not called, at least your mind was getting into the groove, because it's like a muscle. So we are on the topic of persistence. And I heard somebody speak about something about a horse. So guess what? My first question is this. How would you deal with a very stubborn horse if you're riding for the first time? How would you deal with a very stubborn horse if you're riding for the very first time? My good friend, DTM Victor Jenkins.
It's interesting that you would ask me that.
Victor, come on, wherever you are.
It's interesting that you would ask me that question because I actually have a first-time horse riding experience. And if I had been told about horses before, I would have focused a little bit on what I did. I was in Ireland, and this was in 1976. And the people in Ireland didn't know much about Black folks, and they tried to compare me with Muhammad Ali. A very confident person, and at the time I was not that confident. So they decided, let's take him horseback riding, right? They figured me being big, robust man and riding horses would be a piece of cake. What they didn't know is I hadn't ridden a horse before. So they take me to the place where the horse riding occurred, and the horse that they chose for me to ride, the horse's name was El Cid. So a horse named El Cid, you can probably realize that it's not a gentle horse. They told me how to make the horse go right. They told me how to make the horse go left. They told me how to do several things and how to control the horse. And that was cool so far. I understood everything. So I climbed up on the horse and I'm just sitting on the horse and I didn't do anything. So as far as I was concerned, the horse wasn't supposed to be doing anything. But the horse was just moving left to right and just doing what horses do, standing around and just ambling themselves, not doing anything. But Marlon, I wasn't in control. And since I wasn't in control, I was afraid because the horse was supposed to be standing still, completely still, because I wasn't doing anything. Well, Marlon, the big, black, strong Muhammad Ali-like guy in Ireland started to cry like a little girl. Get me off this horse. Get me off this horse. I want to get off this horse. And well, they got me off the horse. And then later I was told that horses just do that. So my first time riding a horse, I didn't have much focus, but I wasn't Muhammad Ali either. And to this day, there are people who talk about that when they share a funny story at parties or wherever they are at my expense. Back to you, Marlon.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Mr. Jenkins. I will also be sharing that story at your expense. Okay, wonderful. So now we're moving on smartly because we don't have much time. As we're on the topic of persistence, one of the enemies of persistence, as Victor just said, is fear. Now, fear is a serious thing. It causes you to stop. It causes you to not achieve your goals because of a mirage in front of you. In the book, Who Moved My Cheese? It goes like this. What would you do if you weren't afraid? And I ask this question to Kathleen Peel.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
It's Catherine Hill, yes. It's Catherine.
The question is, What would I do if I were not afraid?
Table topics.
I am not afraid. I am ever increasingly less unafraid and learning to do, not be afraid. So I haven't been on a horse, but I ride my own ride. I walk my own walk and live it up. For instance, today I am going to venture into new things and making them public and enjoying the consequences, whatever they are. Thank you for the question, Mr. Table Topics Master.
And thank you very much, Toastmaster Pill. Is it Pill or Peel? My phone
Peel.
says Pill.
Peel.
Peel. Okay, thank you very much, Toastmaster Peel. The thing with that is the thing with fear. With you or not, the book says what would you do if you were and whatever you do, it will succeed. If someone was to tell you, poof, whatever you do, it will succeed, and you knew for a fact that you would succeed, what would you do? And if that is so, then why did you just do it? So that's my last question to Sally Reyes. If you were assured that anything you do would succeed, what would you do?
Thank you very much for that insightful question, Marlon. Well, the only thing right now that I'm having trouble with is computers. But other than that, I feel like I'm pretty successful at almost anything else I try. But this one is perplexing. I keep going, and sometimes I forget to walk and run and do all the things that I love to do because I'm stranded behind a computer that will not cooperate. And sometimes I yell and scream. But that's okay. I know learning is a process. And if I live long enough, I will have it down, or perhaps I have to buy a new one. The other day I was telling someone I needed help and could they give me a hand, and I had all these problems, and he said, "Oh, you have an Apple. Is that a bad word these days?" I thought they were outstanding. Now I'm apologizing for having an Apple that won't do what his computer does, but I don't know what his computer is. So I just think persistence right now is the best I can call for. Thank you very much.
How wonderful.
All right. All right. So as we close, allow me to recap what our three respondents said. So Sally, at some point, she's going to be a computer whiz. And you bear me as your table topics Toastmaster meeting.
I'm
Fantastic.
sorry I missed that wonderful comment because it all went into sort of bleeping and thank you.
The Matrix.
Oh boy.
My goodness, what fun. Thank you so much, everyone, for putting up with me as your Toastmaster. Now I will turn the meeting back to the general evaluator who will close us out. Tala, the platform is all yours.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. So, focusing on my role of journal evaluator, let me start by saying that we started bang on time and every segment was exactly on time. And for some mysterious reason, we are starting this segment, the journal evaluation, 7 minutes before the time on the agenda. So we are somehow gaining. I haven't checked the mathematics on the agenda, but whatever it is, I'll take it. So the first, first of all, the keynote today, I must say, DTM Linda, you have such a seamless style. You switch between characters and stories and stages, and we can all learn from that. I mean, the content of your keynote, yes, absolutely wonderful as always, but the linguistic techniques and the transitions, somehow it's hard to believe that you were in the forces once. You're so superbly expressive and seamless with your role plays and open about your expression. It was a lovely touch to have a 10 minutes Q&A because I believe that thanks to the wise and deep questions, we ended up learning even more about leadership. And that was really a beautiful experience overall. As for horses, yeah, I've had an experience of my own, but that is for another speech, another day. Suffice it to say, it was not pleasant, to say the least, because I learned to ride a horse for the first time in my life, 3,500 meters above sea level, hanging on a ledge and staring into an abyss. So anyhow, the first speech. First, I think that there's hardly any need to reiterate the timing cards every time. You can just tell the timing at the start of every speech. The speech itself, though, it flowed like hot cocoa butter, but with twists and surprises. So there were delicious nuts and surprises in between. I don't know how you managed to do that, but you somehow turned a speech about weight loss and fitness and walking into one of the most fun speeches I've ever heard. Thank you so much for that. And thank you all for giving us such valuable tips. Thank God this camera doesn't show me. The model that you see on the screen does not continue below the waist. So the second speech, Ron King. I don't know what to say, but
excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we going to have evaluations of these?
Yeah. I need to hand over to the evaluators. So okay. Yeah, I went with the flow on my notes. Apologies, but I'll hand over the floor now to our first evaluator, and that would be DTM Cynthia Stott. Over to you. And apologies.
Great. When you can hear me, it's a little windy outside. I thought I would step out for my evaluation. I was so focused during your speech, Isaac. I was just, you had me at hello. When you had your neighbor running across the stage, well, walking across the stage, being your mentor, your role model, the person that you wanted to emulate. I love that. I love that. And all your storytelling was great. You were engaging. I don't know how many stories you had in your speech, but you really got to wow us with your storytelling abilities. And storytelling is the best way to connect with your audience. One thing I loved your humor as well. I thought you had some great humor pieces with the Weight Watchers and the police officer. And all the ways that you engaged us with humor. That was excellent. One thing I would have liked to hear was a little more of a string pulling through, because you did have so many different stories. But if you told at the end, you had a great wrap up with the 3 things. That was it for weight loss, for stress relief, and for looking younger, that walking is the thing to do. And maybe you could say, you said start walking. Maybe you could say start walking or continue walking, expand your walking, because we all walk in some factor, but maybe we can expand that. And I especially loved walk around the block. That was hilarious. But if those 3 items could be weaved throughout your speech, then that would help to wrap it up. Like starting with it, ending with it is called a bookends, so that we know where you're going and we're following along with you. And then we come at the end, we really get the juice of what you're sharing. I loved your speech. It was so humorous, entertaining, and heartfelt. I love that it was your personal story included. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, DT and Cynthia, for once again another beautiful evaluation. Let's move to our second speaker, who was Toastmaster Rowan King, breaking the ice today, rather smashing the ice, and he'd be evaluated by DTM Victor. Over to you, Mr. Victor.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, and thank you, Rowan. Rowan, I'd like to congratulate you for doing what millions and millions of other people aren't doing, and that is taking the step into the arena of public speaking. You know, the mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and a positive learning environment where every member, and that's you, is given the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. I want to point out that the purpose of your speech was to introduce yourself to the club and learn the basic structures of a speech. Well, you introduced yourself to the club in a masterful fashion. You started off your talk saying that you were going to tell us about your family, about your music, and about your school. And then you told us about your family, your music, and your school. This made you excel in your structure of your speech. Many Toastmasters who've been around for years and years and years have difficulty establishing a structure for their talk, but that was not your problem. Your structure was above board and it was to be emulated. The next thing that I noticed about you, since you are allowing us to get to know you, is that the 2 things that plague many Toastmasters, which is nervousness and lack of confidence, was not apparent in your talk. You seemed very confident and you did not seem nervous at all. In terms of things that you could do better in your next speech, well, there's not a lot that you could do better for an icebreaker because you were presenting an icebreaker. It was supposed to be your first speech. You were supposed to have lots of errors. You were supposed to have lots of things that I could tell you to improve on. But alas, Rowan, you did not have lots of things that I could tell you to improve on. The only thing that I would tell you is that as you give more talks in Toastmasters, your evaluations may be a little different, but the point is for you to improve with each speech that you give. And as you talk with your mentor and go through the projects and figure out what your speeches are designed to do, you will find that some speeches you are to demonstrate this and other speeches you are to demonstrate that. And since I think that you probably have a host of stories that you can share with us, it will simply be a matter of crafting your speech and structuring your speech so that it meets the objectives that the project asks you to do. So as you go through your Toastmasters journey, remember this. This was your first evaluation. And years from now, when you have I don't know, maybe taking over the world or something, you can look back and think about what it was like when you got evaluated the first time. You can think about what it was like when you gave your first speech. I believe you're going to do exceptional in Toastmasters, and I wish you well. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. And Toastmaster Rowan and DTM Victor. Both the speech and evaluation had one thing in common. You somehow paradoxically, impossibly managed to cram so much content into the time. I can't get my head around it, but it was absolutely beautiful. I believe the evaluation matched the speech in its beauty and its content. Moving on, we'll have the report from our grammarian and word master, Sally Reyes. Over to you.
Thank you. Are we on? Okay. Persistence and focus were used by Tala, once by me, 5 times by Linda, and 1 focus. And Rowan, 2 focus. Marlon, 1 focus. But the words that I heard today, especially from our first speaker, was wisdom, strategy, focus, and vision, overreacher, and creative, and persuade. Love those creative words. And Cynthia used a word, weaved. I think the proper word is woven as a past tense. Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you so much, grammarian and word master. Our next report will be from our timer for today, Lynn Freller. Over to you, Madam Timer.
Thank you so much. We did pretty well today on timing, and I'm going to give Linda just a little bit of reminder. She went to 10:37, and which is a little bit over, and the Q&A was 11, which is a little bit over. But who counts some of these things? Isaac went over a little bit. He says time is short. He was right. He went over by a minute. Well, actually, you were up to 8 minutes, which is fine. And Cynthia and Victor both did fine with your evaluations, coming in under the timing. And the table topics were all within the norms, established norms. So we did a pretty good job of keeping everything under control, and we're just going to make sure the rest of the meeting stays tight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now it's time for me to evaluate the meeting. And what can I say? It was an absolute blast from start to right at this point. Somehow we are still ahead as far as timing is concerned. And that is thrilling to see. The keynote speech and both the speeches were absolutely wonderful. And what I'd like to highlight here today is the table topics. In your own words, the table topics master, you were absolutely awesome. The energy was palpable, it was infectious. Your topics invited and encouraged the speakers to speak and pour their heart out. And that's the best kind of table topics. Not only that, but you recapped it in the end. And that was a lovely touch. That's something that I plan to do whenever I plan to do the table topics master. That was a lovely touch. And overall, the meeting's scheduling and the pace was very smooth and musical today, perhaps owing in no small part to our icebreaker, whose musical voice carried us through the day, but also to end the speech on this topic of weight loss and fitness by Isaac. That was an absolute entertainer. So all in all, a great meeting. The timer and the word master and the grammarian all did their roles perfectly. There's precious little that I can recommend for improvement, except for one thing, and that is that First of all, the journal evaluator, myself, should be focused enough not to overstep the evaluators and give them their slots before evaluating the speeches themselves. And secondly, the speakers who overshot their timings, next time, please try to manage your time a little bit better. With that, I congratulate everyone and hand over the charge to our VPE, who is today, I'm not sure. We have Catherine Peel. I'm supposed to hand over charge to Victor. So over to you, Victor.
I have to make sure I'm not muted so I don't get embarrassed by moving my lips and people not hearing anything. And I believe that since the actual VPE is here today, I'm going to have her take this segment of the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mrs. Beal.
Oh, well, I wanted to hear you, marvelous Victor. But here I am. I'm happy to see you all. Barely landed and back in the saddle. I would like to let you know that you'll receive assignments and in the Easy Speak agenda, and then I will send out a message to every person assigned a role. So they'll be going out at one time, at the same time, a message from me, just in case you missed the Easy Speak agenda. And this is so that we can get used to a rolling system that works for us all, by us all. And we're gonna get on that horse and tell it when to go left and when to go right, and be integrated, be at one with our ride. And with that, I will turn it back to the Toastmasters, actually turn it back to our president for announcements, and maybe get out of school a little early today.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. And as for the announcements, the first announcement is that we will have our executive committee installation on the 1st of August. And the installation will be performed by past international president John Law. Am I correct, DTM Cynthia?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I just announced that the new executive committee will be installed during the August 1 meeting by past international president John Law. So, yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And he's going to give us a fabulous keynote presentation as well, a little bit longer than usual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So everyone, please make time for next week's meeting. It will be special because past international president will be enlightening us with a keynote. And I believe that any other announcement worth making has already been made by our VP Education. So that means that we can move on to the giveaways. And despite the fact that the agenda says chocolates, I sought special permission from DTM Cynthia to deviate slightly. And in the last meeting, we distributed pizzas. And today, it will be something even better. But for that, I will need to invite our first guest who would like to share their takeaways from the meeting today, from one of the guests. All right, DTM Sats, please share your takeaways from the meeting.
Thank you very much. So the first takeaway is that uh, when you actually will to join a Toastmaster meeting at any time, you can absolutely do it, because it's actually 1 a.m. over here, but I'm still awake. Number two is all of the wonderful evaluation and the speeches had more content, and everything was meaningful. So that was one thing that I believe totally will actually be with me for the future. So with that, it's over to you, Mr. President.
All right. So you have earned the right for today's or tonight's giveaway, and that is your favorite thing to eat. What is that? What's your favorite 1 a.m. snack? I know what mine is.
Any chocolate.
Oh, congratulations, Didi and Cynthia. We're back to chocolate. So here's your, which one do you like though?
I think it's anything, Kit Kat, Dairy Milk, or anything will do. Mars,
All
Bounty.
right. All right. Let me give you something that I absolutely hate. Milky Way. There you go. A whole carton of them. All right. Who'd like to share their takeaways next? Maybe one of the guests or one of our members? Anyone? How about you, Toastmaster Ron?
Sure. So today was definitely a big step for me, I guess, giving my first speech. So it was definitely a new experience for me, giving it in front of other people. I guess I've never, at school you kind of give sort of speeches or presentations, but it's a little different. I feel like also on Zoom it's a little different, but this felt a little more real in a sense. I'm not sure why, but it was definitely a good experience, and I think it's my first step to getting more comfortable with public speaking. But thank you for all of your kind words as well. That means a lot, and I had a good time.
Thank you so much. And yes, at the same time, it's more real, and still, it's the best community on the planet, as you will shortly discover. So, what's your favorite thing to eat?
If it's my 1 a.m. snack, I was going to say a bagel.
Oh, a bagel. Easy enough. So here it is. I'm throwing it your way. Would you be able to catch it?
Yes.
Any special toppings or something?
I think I usually put like cream cheese and salmon on it, smoked salmon.
Oh my God. All right. There you go. Catch it. All right. Who'd like to go next? How about Victor? How about you?
What about me?
What's your takeaway from the meeting today?
My takeaway involves Rowan, actually, because, for a long time, I thought that youth was wasted on the young. But that's not true, because Rowan is getting mucho benefit from him being young. So I thank him for being at the meeting today.
Wow, that's amazing. And your favorite midnight snack?
Peanut butter in its rawest form, right out of the jar.
Oh, did you watch Stranger Things season 4 by any chance? All right.
No, but I keep hearing about Stranger Things. I pulled it up.
All right. So consider this a jar of peanut butter. All right. And I'm throwing it your way.
Do you have a bigger jar?
keep attending meetings, and the jar will get bigger every time. All right. Next, who do we go for? How about you? We have another guest, Maya Catherine. Would you like to share your takeaway from the meeting?
Are you close to your mic, Maya? She may have stepped away.
All right, all right. What about you? Absolutely awesome guest, Marlon Perriejo. If I pronounce your name correctly. What's your takeaway?
Oh, Marlon's not a guest. He's a member.
Oh, yeah,
He
I was
joined in G.
confused. Yeah, I was confused because he
Somebody put a
placed a
G.
G before. Yeah. So
He's at work, so he might not be available.
All right, all right.
He's a
So what
police
about you,
officer.
DTM Cynthia? What about you? How does it feel to share your takeaway instead of asking it?
My takeaway is the whole meeting. It was just awesome, especially Linda had a great keynote speech, and she had less than 24 hours to prepare it and was willing to step up and give it to us. That was awesome. I loved Isaac's speech and Rowan's speech. That just knocked it out of the park today. And very entertaining, a lot of storytelling. And Victor just stole the show, especially with his table topic. That was amazing. But all your tape, it was all great. That's awesome. I can sit back and relax and just evaluate. I like that.
I can imagine. So, what's your favorite midnight snack?
Well, my husband used to get pizza at midnight, and especially with his friend from Ireland, Gary, I remember what his last name was, but they would sing to the pizza guys as they would create their pizza. They would sing Frank Sinatra very badly at the top of their lungs. So I would say just a cheese pizza made with merry pizza making people because they're being serenaded by Frank Sinatra.
All right. So have it your way, ETM Cynthia. There you go.
Woo!
All right. Who'd like to give their takeaway next? What about you, our Toastmaster of the day, Teresa Cherry?
Studies.
What's your takeaway from the meeting?
Well, the meeting ran very much on time and smoothly. And I do understand one of the things that we might consider is when we're running short, that we don't limit the table topics person to 3 questions, because then our esteemed president wouldn't have to try to stretch the meeting to the full 2 hours at the very last. So that, you know, no, how should I say, no criticism, just a heartfelt sensitivity for everybody's time. And that we really need to use it as productively as possible because it is so precious. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's well taken. Actually, the takeaways and the giveaways are a tradition of leaders worldwide. But yes, you're right that we can for the future consider maybe awarding 4 slots instead of 3 for the table topics. So still, what's the midnight snack that you would like?
You know, I'll go along with the peanut butter but it has to be accompanied by chocolate. One of my favorite ice creams
Oh,
is only produced, I think, by a very limited little company in Chicago, is chocolate Reese's peanut butter cups,
oh yes.
which is amazing. I could take it intravenously. So yes, I'll take one of those.
All right. Thank you so much. There you have a whole huge specially manufactured tub for you. And I've thrown it your way. Next, we have our timer, Lynn, please.
I have a comment. I appreciate the sensitivity to the timing. However, I think, doesn't the Toastmaster have the authority to say we can extend the table topics? Isn't that correct? If you have discretion in terms of how you want to manage the meeting, because I think the table topic, hey, you trump it all. And then,
Can I add in?
sure.
Yeah, the Toastmaster runs the meeting and they could extend the table topics. The only problem is we have another section after that. We have the evaluations, and then we have the grammarian report and the timer report. So all of that can take some extra time. And what happened in the beginning is that we were allowing like 4 or even 5 table topics, but then we ran over time and we were just tight. And we kind of think of the takeaways at the end as a little mini table topics. So that's what we chose to do instead, so we could be a little more flexible with our time. And of course, we can always end early if we want.
Right. It makes perfect sense. The table topics all ran a little fairly short today, but the other thing I noticed, sometimes the introductions ran long, almost as long as the table topics. It's a dance, right? It's a dance. And it's a wonderful dance. Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely.
So let's strike a balance here, and let me now ask if anyone else wants to share their takeaway. Otherwise, we can end this meeting.
Well, my takeaway, this is a charming community, and it was delightful to see how many people participated in so many different ways. And I so appreciate people getting up in the middle of the morning to attend. That's devotion. That's focus. And by the way, Sally, I did say focus, but again, who counts?
All right. What's your favorite midnight snack?
Sleep. That's it. I would not eat after 10, after even 8 is ideal. So thank you so much. I'll sleep on that.
Oh, all right. All right. So here's a whole bunch of sleep coming your way. I don't know. It's not time to sleep at your place, but anyhow, I'm sending you a whole bunch of dreams, good dreams that you can have tonight. So anyone else would like to share their takeaway?
No.
All right, so I believe that we can declare this meeting closed. And I once again thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your not only participation, but your beautiful and eloquent and heartfelt and meaningful participation. The whole point of a Toastmasters meeting is that we walk away better off as human beings than we were when we entered into it. And I believe today we accomplished that. So everyone, have a good day, and some of us will have hopefully a good night. So thank you so much, and see you all again.